start the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody have a seat, please. Okay, we're gonna, because of our speaker schedule, we're gonna reschedule our way that we do the business with the minutes and the treasury report and everything. We will do that after the speakers finish speaking. Everyone, tonight we have distinguished speaker, our State Assemblyman, Avelino Valencia, and I'm glad that he served on the city council. We got a chance to get to know him. Welcome him home, because he is from Anaheim. Believe me, I know here in District 5, I went by the house while I was going there. They made sure that they let me know that that was where his family was. So without any further ado, State Assemblyman.
I'm a piece of cardboard. So me learning how to actually take my wife on that journey is.
Make sure we get through that before we start shaking some more hands, right? So glad to be home. Actually, just got off a plane and came straight here. My schedule is much different now that I'm as opposed to late Tuesday nights. I'm in Sacramento Monday through Thursday. January all the way to the summertime. In the summer, and we're back again in the fall. But it's been an incredible blessing to share, growing up right down the street, you know, little kid, more proud to represent Anaheim, Santa Ana, and Orange in Sacramento. And although I'm in Sacramento most days, I do my best to keep a close eye. It's still going on here at Anaheim City Hall. And topic of conversation today, the state audit that I requested. When I served on the Anaheim City Council, as many of you know, there were some that were unfolding. The former mayor, who is now what I hear going to unethical and corrupt things at City Hall. I had a sense of what was taking place. I've never had any facts while I was on the Anaheim City Council, but there was things. The sale of Angel Stadium. Just how the operations were unfolding at times, and part by once I got to the state legislature, I decided to ask for an emergency audit and to look into what's taking place with Visit Anaheim for Commerce, and what many of us assumed to be the case, which was the misuse of funds and the abuse of public resources, is exactly what was taking place. And now we actually had and now we actually had a there you go. I'm on camera too. Perfect. How's everybody doing today? What we all assumed to be the case was now evident in this report. And thankfully, by some coincidence, I sit and sat on JLAC, which is the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, which implements state audits on behalf of the legislature. So because of that, I was able to request an emergency audit and was able to get that audit initiated in a week's time once we had heard some of the unfortunate news last year. So thank you. We then found out that the Anaheim Chamber of Commerce and Visit Anaheim was taking advantage of tax dollars for a very long time. I asked that the audit look back 10 years from 2022 to 2012 to see what was going on. And throughout that time, Visit Anaheim transferred $4.4 million to the Chamber of Commerce through to do quote unquote legislative outreach and advocacy on behalf of the city of Anaheim and tourism. It was disappointing to see that the contracts that were signed between the city, the chamber, and then also the city and Visit Anaheim, and a combination of those, there were very broad. And that's what actually led to the abuse of these contracts and resources. There was a few instances that were outlined in the audit that showed hundreds of thousands of dollars that were earmarked for programs without having any measures or metrics in place when it came to outcome and results. So that meant that they were pretty much just writing blank checks from Visit Anaheim to the Chamber of Commerce. And Chamber of Commerce did not have to prove in any way that they were doing anything with those dollars, which is, I think, a huge disservice. So that was one of the things that came up. Another point that was extremely surprising was that public dollars were used in illegal ways. And as we all know, we can't use public dollars for campaign purposes or for political purposes. And unfortunately, that's exactly what was taking place by the Anaheim Chamber of Commerce throughout those 10 years. And there were different examples that the state auditor found throughout those 10 years each year where that was the case, unfortunately. All to the extent that one of those years, public dollars were actually used to fund a political action committee. So there were dollars that actually went into campaigns, which is a huge no-no. And unfortunately that took place as well. So I know that that was one of the questions that came up. I know that the audit wasn't as specific in detail when it came to outlining where that dollar amount went. I had a one-on-one conversation with the state auditor, and he shared with me some of those details. And he did also share that because of potential pending investigation, there's also limitations that they had. And I'm not sure if you all kept up or are keeping up with what's unfolding. A couple of days ago, there was an article that came out that Santa Ana Unified seems to be under investigation by the FBI because of one of the bad actors that was here in Anaheim, also expanding into Santa Ana when it came to COVID contracts and COVID dollars, which, you know, again, not surprised, but extremely unfortunate that that was spewing out into other communities as well. So my guess is that that's in part why some of the details and information just could not be publicized, number one, and why we haven't seen the next step with some of these criminal proceedings as well. To stop there and answer any questions regarding the audit or go into detail if there's any concern or questions about it. Your name, sir?
Mark Herbert.
Mark, pleasure.
What was the holdup with the Anaheim Council when you were on it for holding Visit Anaheim accountable for annual audits?
I think it was just a political will. There was a couple of us on the city council who I think believed that there was some nefarious acts taking place. But as we all know, democracy is a majority vote. And at the time, there was a majority that had the ability or to not go down that path. And that's exactly what they selected to do. They thought that Visit Anaheim was doing everything by the book, and there was no need for us to inquire, look into what those public dollars were going towards. And there was also, unfortunately, some misinformation out there, and there was never any clarity as to whether the money coming from ATID, the assessment, the self-imposed assessment from the resort coming to the city, then from the city to Visit Anaheim, if whether or not those were actually public dollars, which also left things up to somewhat speculation, right? Can we actually take action? Can we not? And that was a cop-out that I think past elected leaders in Anaheim used to not go down that path. And we all know now, after the state auditors report, that in fact, those are public dollars. Any dollar that goes from the private then touches any sort of government entity becomes a public asset right away, despite them moving it into another space, right? So
That was the ATID fund.
correct. Yeah, no, it's my understanding, and I think that's what the state auditor's interpretation is. So any dollar amount that, even if it's funneled through the city like it is, it is a public asset.
somebody to go to and their city attorney or somebody to do it. This was common knowledge for everybody that was attending council, as they were shutting down the time that they could talk, and number of times they could talk, they were just talking amongst themselves, and this sounds weird as hell. And it's been going on, so you went back 10 years, I think you go back another 10. And that's why it just gave them, you know, license to seal, because it had been going on, and so.
Right.
So what, looking back.
What could I have done differently? I did my best to try and build an image and trust with some of my colleagues to get them to at least support an idea that I had, not necessarily believe in an idea that I had, but at least support an idea or be open to an idea. And I was surprised and to an extent thankful for having convinced a colleague that I didn't think would actually get there, which was now current council member Jose Diaz. He is the council member who supported my motion in addition to former council member Dr. Jose Moreno when it came to having a public discussion about the Angel Stadium agreement and deal in Anaheim. And it was something that we had all heard. The deal was not discussed publicly, and we were not able to get any in-depth debate or information on the topic. So I think that was one of the things that needed to be done, which was bring more information to light in a public setting. And I'm glad to see that we were able to do that, at least on the Angel Stadium front, which I think led to more discussion later on.
We're seeing almost the same thing happen now, but Disneyland forward. It's just being pushed through with minimal information and lots of quite questionable. They're backing it all with a University of Fullerton study that nobody is allowed to see because supposedly they have proprietary information. We feel like we're going to the whole Angel Stadium again. Yeah, the council members haven't even seen it.
Oh, wow.
Still Aria.
Oh,
What would you think of eliminating Visit Anaheim altogether and taking in-house, having the city responsible for doing the same thing? Obviously, it would be a lot more cost effective.
yeah, I think that could be an option. I don't know if I would advocate specifically for that. I think the state auditor outlined some strong recommendations to provide more oversight and implement parameters on Visit Anaheim. If that is an option, I think it's worthwhile exploring to see if the marketing of tourism in Anaheim is better suited to be in-house as opposed to a nonprofit like Visit Anaheim. But I think a first good step is definitely revisiting the contract and the agreement between Visit Anaheim and the city, like not only revisiting, but restructuring the contract, and then also implementing some further parameters to ensure that the dollars are actually being used the way that they're supposed to be used. And in addition to that, the amount of aid to dollars that have come to the city has grown over the years. The percentage amount has not grown, but the dollar amount has, because of the TOT increase over the years in the city of Anaheim. So every year for pretty much for the past 10, 15 years, Anaheim has increased its TOT that it receives from the resort district. And with that, the aid to dollars have also increased, right? So I think a very fair question is, does Visit Anaheim need all those dollars to continue to market the resort district, or can some of those dollars be better used for other endeavors, whether it's affordable housing or funding parks or something of that sort in the city of Anaheim? So I think those issues definitely need to be addressed and then at least considered. Yes.
Yeah. Girl, Miss Blue, good girl.
You were a council majority for 2 years.
Good girl. No steal, Aria. No. Get out of there, Aria.
Constitution came out. It's obviously.
No steal. Good girl, no steal.
Do what he did by himself.
And
Girl, did you get everything? Good girl.
not the only corporate act that happened. And I don't know, you feel the same way that more prosecution should come down, or how do you feel on it?
You know, I definitely think we have to go based off of the facts that we have at hand. And that's in part why the former mayor is in the situation that he's in. And, you know, whatever outcome is, whatever the outcome determined by the law is, that he needs to repay society with. I think it's extremely fair. When it comes to the other entity that hasn't had a sentencing yet, my assumption is just based off of what I just shared a little bit ago, is that there's still pending investigations and more to come, and his sentencing could be augmented because of what's still potentially being investigated.
Hey there, mommy has to go get you. Stay 1 minute.
Yeah, I think people have been tiptoeing around something, so I'm just gonna go
Sure.
and ask you. You were originally elected to the city council in a race against Anne Marie Randall Trejo and Janine, who's part of up here today. And you were cheating?
She's on Zoom.
Oh, she's on Zoom. At that time, my recollection is that you were supported by Disney. And I want to compliment you to say that you don't seem to have necessarily been unable to get beyond that. So I'm interested in what your relationship is now with Disney. And I'll tell you that one thing that you said earlier today made me worried. And that is when you said about not letting Disney basically, because Disney is dominated by Disney, that not having Disneyland either one to be able to be in charge of that stuff is an option. Like what you
I definitely don't believe Disneyland should have the single say in Visit Anaheim or the $8 by any means. No, I think.
Okay, but one way or the other, they've been able to do it just like they've been able to use outside donations to
And that's
elect their own council. But the question is, why is that an option rather than an imperative? Given what they've been able to do to take over Anaheim, do you see any villainy in Disney?
I'm tasked to always push the envelope for more. So when it comes to Disney or any entity, like I have done historically, I try to find a solution or a compromise that I think can maximize the benefit to the residents. And again, I will reiterate that the recommendations by the state auditor are to strengthen parameters around Visit Anaheim, which I fully support. Arguably, those recommendations are my recommendations because I initiated the audit, so I'm the one that is advocating. I also put that in a letter to the city. With the expansion of an oversight commission, I think that will add more voices to Visit Anaheim and have more eyes on those dollars to ensure that they're going to where they need to be going. I fully support that. And I think that commission should include community members and all stakeholders in Anaheim, because I think that's what's best. And it should be a democratic board.
Good girl. Thank you, Blue. Mama was worried. Thank you, Blue. Good girl. Good girl. We are all done. Okay? All done. I ate, you ate, you ate. Hold on.
I think that the investments that Disneyland has planned to make in the city, without a doubt, benefit the city. again, I think it's up to the city council to ensure that they're maximizing this opportunity long-term. And I do have a lot of concerns with the project. I think,
The study that they're basing, Cal State Fullerton is basing all their data on.
Mhm.
So the city council hasn't even been properly able to vet the figures, and they're just speaking it, and they have a financial relationship together. So there's a lot of stuff going on that, yes, there might be good, but there's also bad.
and I was not privy to the council not having access to that report. That's something that I will ask, just out of curiosity. I mean, that is something that I think,
First off, thank you for being here. Just listening to the community. But one of the things that Harry used to do and the previous council would use was the police department to get away with their fraud and their corruption. And you mentioned that you're part of the audit committee and that you helped spearhead by getting that audit committee. Did you consider having an audit committee look into the Anaheim police, the people involved they claimed in? They tried to 5150 me a bunch of times, arrest me, and they would say, Harry sent us to silence you, and this is what we're doing. So is that something
Stop that.
the police are used to have for?
I would not be able to do that through the state auditor's office. That is a local issue that needs to be handled by the city attorney's office, is my understanding. So I would not be able to help or have the state auditor look at this.
That's it for thank you.
On another topic, I've been getting your ads by text. And I see that one of your priorities is education funding, and we're getting our education funding cut here in Anaheim. Drastically, they're gonna have to close. I'm sure your wife knows they're gonna have to close two schools.
Closing the public schools.
What is there? Are you really gonna be able to get back some of those cuts?
So I have been assigned by our new speaker, Robert Rivas, on the newly created Budget Oversight and Accountability Committee. Coming from Anaheim, the lessons that I've learned here revolve around transparency, accountability, and being fiscally responsible with public resources, right? So I think that's why he decided to name me as chair of that committee. And we are going to be experiencing some difficult budget challenges these upcoming years, unfortunately. With that being said, I can with confidence say that at least on the assembly side, we are firm on ensuring that we are investing and funding public education to the best of our ability. There's a Prop 98, which also mandates the state, it's a constitutional mandate to fund public education to a certain level based on general fund dollars. So we cannot go any lower than that. The challenge, in my opinion, is that there were a lot of one-time dollars that have gone out that have funded many of these expansion programs here, not only here in Anaheim, but across the state of California. And with the budget deficit that we're experiencing, it's going to be difficult to continue funding those programs. My wife, she's a principal here in Anaheim at the elementary school level. Thankfully, the districts that I represent, Anaheim Elementary, Santa Ana, and the schools in Orange, I have not heard of any of those districts moving in the direction of layoffs or cutbacks. I think Anaheim Union is the only one that is experiencing that right now. So, it's an administrative dynamic that they're going to have to handle. And if they see it fit to cut staffing as opposed to other programs, and again, I don't know the intricacies of their financials and as to why they're making those decisions. But from the state's perspective, we're going to do everything that we can to continue to fund education, public education, and maximize that, considering the deficit that we're. Mhm. Mhm.
I'm beginning to see a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, you know, starting to have so many effects in California that really start to affect your residents, especially the ones that are making the middle and work the hardest. So my point of it is that I'm sure that this is something that the whole legislature of California should be considering, since people are thinking of investing in all of our property, all of the downstate. I even heard that near our airport, base up near our Pismo Beach, they was trying to figure out who's buying the land up there right next to the airport. So this is what I'm saying, it's becoming a national security. It's also become a security for those that are renting. And to me, those of us who have homes should be fighting more for those people. Because what we really want is a stable California. And we can't have a real stable California of being evicted and going to the street.
Absolutely. And that is, we're simplifying what our priorities are going to be. It's going to be safety in our streets, housing, education. Those really are the core issues that we're going to try and tackle and use our resources to address this go around. We have many experts in housing in the legislature to address the concern that you just raised. A colleague, the housing chair, Chris Ward from San Diego, is pushing a bill that would limit the ability for large entities to purchase a limited number of units. And it's a bill that's moving through the legislature because there are these monopolies that are out there purchasing swaths of property, right? And it makes it more difficult for people, the average person, to be able to compete and purchase a home. So that's one component. In addition to that, the housing stuff, right? We need to increase housing. And in California, we do have a lot of red tape when it comes to developing housing. So we're doing what we can as a legislature to cut back on some of that red tape and implement policies that will facilitate the development of housing, and then also focus on the affordability of housing. Affordable housing is a passion of mine. And when I was on the city council, I helped approve and went to the groundbreaking of a couple of affordable housing developments in the district that I represented. And now in the legislature, that's another focus of mine. So I was disappointed to see some of the data points at the oversight hearing that we held on housing a couple of weeks ago. The state of California has invested about $54 billion in the last 5 years across the state to increase affordable housing. With that $54 billion in these last 5 years, there's been 53,000 units that have been approved, and only out of those 53,000, 22,000 have been built. And even that number of 53,000 is nowhere near the number that we need to be with that amount of resources that we've invested. So as a legislature, our new speaker is extremely focused on ensuring the accountability component, making sure that our dollars are being maximized and they're yielding the results intended and not just making headlines. Well, yeah, which is ridiculous in my opinion, and that's another component, right? The amount, the cost that it's taken to build one unit is just not feasible, and we're never going to be able to get out of this hole if we don't balance the equation. I'll do my best. Yeah, maybe back in the fall. Happy to chat in the back if anybody wants to have a quick conversation before I head out, or don't want to interrupt you guys' meeting. But thank you all for.
Campaigns for the low income that just open up more right now on the city. So what is your opinion on that? And how can we reach those grants to have a house?
Oh, feel free to reach out to our office. We would be happy to be a liaison and help walk you through the application process. There are several programs out there that have just opened for first-time home buyer assistance programs. In addition to that, if you already do have a property, there are some programs out there that'll help you build an ADU, which is an affordable dwelling unit, an attached unit, with some assistance as well. So again, the state's focus really is on being as comprehensive when it comes to addressing the housing crisis. I truly believe if I had a magic wand, I wish I could wave it and help facilitate everybody to become property owners, because I think that's what helped at least my family. My parents were fortunate enough to become property owners, and it really did make a difference long-term generationally. So that's something that I'm really passionate about and would love to continue to champion. So, you know, making sure that everybody has housing, whether it's a rental unit at first, but the long-term goal, in my opinion, should be trying to get as many people as possible to become property owners.
Do you see some sort of statewide inclusionary plans that's being possible?
There is conversation, and right now we're exploring everything in Sacramento. I think Sacramento has a macro view of what's going on across the state. Different cities have different ideologies. You know, there are some cities that have already implemented those type of policies, and there's some cities that have been reluctant to go down that path. But right now in Sacramento, everything is on the table, and I think we're weighing all our options.
Study and has been rejected a number of times.
Right.
You are from Anaheim, you know how things work around here. You know the undue influence of the builders, like and the building industry has as far as inclusionary housing. Yet the cities like even the People's Republic of Newport Beach have inclusionary ordinance. Maybe they manage to meet their goals consistently. Yes, as Irvine and certain other cities. If it were imposed statewide, don't you think that might make, you know, it would even a playing field among the developers?
It's a possibility. In my approach, whether it's here in Orange County or across the state, we all have to do our part to help us get out of this housing crisis, right? I have this conversation with colleagues in the legislature constantly. Just looking at the data, Anaheim and Santa Ana, the district I represent, is leading the way in Orange County when it comes to, believe it or not, affordable housing. We have the most units in Anaheim and Santa Ana countywide. Almost 60% of the affordable units, whether it's Section 8 or transitional housing or affordable housing, are in this community. And despite that, we need to do more. But it's really going to take all of us in order for us to be able to develop the amount of housing that we need so that everybody can have a decent quality of life, right? So again, I think all those conversations are on the table, and there's a diverse group of folks up there with different perspectives in terms of how we can get this housing situation mitigated, and we're all putting our heads together. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And if anybody, like I said, if there's any little questions or whatever that you want to talk to him, I'm sure that he would answer them right now. Okay. At this point, we're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting. I don't see who's going to. Mike Robbins is not here to do the minutes. Who's Vern? We'll go ahead. We'll start off right now with our treasurer's report. We have our treasurer come up. Excuse us for not passing out the reports today, but I think she's passing them out right now. Okay, we'll let her go ahead and do that.
Thank you.
See what I have to live with. So tall. Hello, everybody. Okay, starting at the end of the last meeting, we had a balance of $1,580.84. And on the meeting March, we have the additions of $35 in one member paid dues and a donation. And out of our expenses, we have the Google, it comes every month. We have rental, we had a reimbursement for the float. And our total expenditures were $505.61. Now our new cash balance is $1,110.53. So I'm just asking if somebody will move to approve the minutes. Somebody second them.
I said,
Oh, thank you so much. That would be of service.
Did, we need to go ahead and have a motion to approve. Can I get a second? All in favor of accepting, fine. All opposed? Very good. We'll have Vern right now give us the minutes of the last meeting.
Our recording secretary couldn't be here, so he sent me his minutes from the last meeting. It says we discussed Katie Porter and Giuliani. Treasury report of $1,580. Rebecca emphasized that we need to grow the group. We did the resolution on Gaza, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, and we are the first and only so far Orange County Democratic Club to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Vern gave a report on the primary election, which has just happened. It was very low turnout for the Democrats. Joe Kirby, Allison DeMichelis, Derek Tran beat Kim Nguyen, so he'll be running against Michelle Steele. We have to help him the best we can. Dave Obrand, an assembly candidate, came and gave I'm reading what Mike wrote, gave a nice campaign speech, and it would be nice to see him win the seat. Obrand said that election priorities, public education is most important. Board of Ed races, no limits to contributions, subsidized housing. His opponent, Shen, is supported by Philip Morris. His top priority is housing and school funding. And then we talked a lot about Disneyland Forward. And that was Mike's report. And I move to approve it. Okay. So we're all good with that? Okay, thanks.
Okay. Last meeting, we did the vice president nomination. We did Mike Robbins. Is there anybody that want to nominate anybody for vice president? Anybody?
Well, your point of order, Mr. Does the candidate need to be present to be elected?
No, because if I remember right, he accepted the nomination when he was here. So how would that work?
Is that good? All right.
So Mike Robbins.
I'll think what the vice president is program and things like that.
Well,
I was wondering if it was possible to nominate more than one person.
that's why we left it open for, left it open.
They have a strict position.
No. Well, right now, we're just trying to fill the position of vice president. Well, you can go ahead and nominate them, but they're not here to accept it. That's what I was trying to say. The person has to be, versus Mike, he was here to accept it. Okay, so whoever you nominate, they have to be here to accept. Yes, Wes.
I nominated.
See, as I find it out, believe me, this is quite a responsibility, especially if we want our club to grow. So at this point, with no more nominations, second, can I get a second? All right. Okay. So since we only have one candidate,
I move that he be
Motion
appointed
by acclamation.
Appointed by acclamation. All in favor? All opposed?
all of those just because acclamation means you don't have.
Okay,
So it's no
so
longer acclamation.
solely noted. Okay, so that means Mike will be our new VP. Okay, so at this point, we're moving forward to our Disneyland Forward Committee. Ms. Stephanie, it's time for the Disneyland Forward. Can we let this, come on, let me let them come up here to give us an update on what's going with the Disneyland Forward.
Hello, there's an update on Disneyland Forward. There is a Disneyland Forward open house on Wednesday, April 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's at the Anaheim Downtown Community Center, located at 250 East Center Street. What we want from our co-democrats is for you to consider to come out and voice your concerns to city staff. This is turning into a project that is Angel Stadium Part 2. There is some really terrible things going on, and I want to recognize Mr. Perez, Commissioner Perez, who's out there. He is the only man of courage that stood up to the city planning commission, and we deserve to give him a great hand. He spoke directly and asked hard questions that we need answers to, and we are looking at an April 16th vote at 5 p.m. and they are conducting themselves in a way that is the Angel Stadium Part 2. And we really need your help. I have flyers out here. We have over 800 signatures to be submitted, and it's growing every day. But please come out to the open house and speak frankly and voice your concerns. And then if you can't, do a public comment in regard to it. And I have flyers with the attachments for you, and also the vote. The vote is April 16th, and they are steamrolling this all through, and we need your help. It's really serious. There's some really bad things going on, and Mr. Perez is here. Mr. Perez, thank you for asking the hard questions. Thank you. Thank you for representing the people of Anaheim. Smart.
This may be repetitive, but the group Disney, that's been addressing Disney Forward, we have completed a mailing, which should be arriving now. Accord is holding a teach-in, Accord and Cheese Bar are holding a teach-in at Hermosa Village on Friday.
Thank you, Accord.
That they flyered on yesterday. That's going on. There,
We need walkers.
we need walkers for canvassing, and the two big projects for turnout are April 10th and April 16th. It'd be nice if people could hit both. If people can't, the easier one to attend is April 10th because they can just show up. It's an informational situation, so they can come briefly. Both are important. We're in discussions with the postal union about helping us on that. It's a stretch, but we're talking. And we're attempting to connect with the Anaheim Union High School District petition that has 3,000 parents on it. And again, it's a stretch, and I need some help if people have connections on that. But there's some overlap there because of housing is a shared issue of the two. They could help us with our crowd. And our media outreach is chugging along. So be patient with us. We are pushing. If you have ideas to help on that, please let us know.
Our biggest specific problems right now, as we've talked about, are that they want to close Magic Way, which is not good for the city, and they are helping almost nothing with housing. Even though they're going to be adding nearly 14,000 new employees, but apart from that, there's just so much secrecy and rush to this. So our goal really right now is to put off this April 16th vote. We're gonna ask them that, we haven't even, Disney has justified this thing with an economic study done by the California State University of Fullerton Business School, which gets a lot of money from them every year. And we're not even allowed to see that study. I thought they were keeping it from the public, but actually it turns out that the city doesn't even have it. The staff don't have it, the council don't have it, and they're still, as far as we can tell, they're full steam ahead approving everything. So this is really shady. It's a lot like when we didn't get to see the appraisal of the Anaheim Stadium. There's just like these special interests, these wealthy special interests assume they'll get anything they want from an Anaheim council. And we can hope this council is a little different, but we don't know yet. And so like they said, this is on the 10th, they're having what they call an informational meeting. Disney and the city's putting it on. And they're already starting off with a lot of information. They say that it's good for the city for Disney to take Magic away, because then we don't have to deal with any maintenance. We don't have to spend any money on it, which we already aren't, because it's taken care of by the ATID dollars. What else are they saying? Oh, they're saying they're using that old canard that 50% of our revenue comes from Disney, which is not true. It's more like 25%, because we have to pay so much of that into bonds. So there's a lot of misinformation there, and that goes from 6 to 8. It's at the community center here near City Hall, and we're going to be there at 4:30. We'll have a rally, lots of signs, lots of speakers. We're going to have the media there, and we're hoping that you guys come and support, and you can find all the information you want from us. And then the 16th, they want to vote on it. We're going to show up early and try to get them to postpone the vote. It should be postponed for a few months. We should demand to see the study, even if the excuse that we can't see the study is that it's got proprietary information. Well, that can be redacted. It couldn't be that much proprietary information. I think that's all I have to say, but we could really, yeah. And these guys have more to say too. We could really use your presence. It's next Wednesday, the 10th at 4:30 at the community center, and then council on the 16th. And they're going to, what they always do when a special interest has something, they try to fill the chambers with their supporters early on. So if any of you are able to come at 4 and so you can get in, that'd be great.
Steve White.
Steve. Let's hear what he has to say. Stevie.
Just a question, why is the city staff putting on a presentation for a project that hasn't been voted on, that to sell us on the idea, unless their minds are totally made up and we're just in the butt?
Their answer to that was.
Because they think it's still the Sadu era.
The answer to that was that they believe that we deserve answers, and in that setting, they will be able to answer our questions. But we ask them time and time again, at council meetings, and we never get answers. So it's just more corruption. And what I wanted to say was this did begin in the Sadu era. We have fact for that. We can prove that. So we all need you to fight, because we're fighting for Anaheim. We're fighting for more than just the expansion. This is a line that we have to say. Disney does not run Anaheim. We own Anaheim. Also, the Magic Way is not available for Disney to take. They have to sell it. So the city of Anaheim is willing to sell it, and the appraisal was done by Disney. Yes, it is part 2. So please, any way you can, walk with us, spread the word. It is really serious, because we have to say this is enough. Oh, I'm sorry, Wes.
Well, the biggest problem, we've heard a little bit of this. If you go to the meetings, they're requesting an exemption from all CEQA actions.
I think that needs a microphone.
They're requesting an exemption from all sequel actions. And a sequel lawsuit, the way I understand it, is a state lawsuit to stop a serious. The state doesn't come in because somebody's parking in the wrong spot. I mean, it's a serious impact on somebody's life. And to have a blanket exemption from that means that Disney could seriously negatively impact a bunch of people's lives with no way to stop it. And there's also some economic stuff that's been announced where, yeah, and there's no way to do a gate tax. And I don't think we should accept that. And there's no way that our council has even been fed a summary of what it is. They haven't had enough time for their aides to digest, and I guarantee it, the council people have not read what they're going to pass. So I would like to see their feet held to the fire and actually know what they're gonna, what they do before they commit us to another 40-year disaster.
That was a very good point. Also on Walnut, which is next to it, it intersects with Magic Way. They are using Walnut as a back of house delivery system with huge 16-wheeler trucks coming in back and forth at the pedestrians' peril, at the Hermosa Village peril, that they turn left. That's their only left turn onto Walnut. And we have brought it to the city council. I've submitted video, and it is business as usual. They are using Walnut as back of house. They have said they wanted Walnut. They want Magic Way. The city is just allowing them to take it, it looks like. And Disneyland Drive is on the table. It's still in the paperwork. They say they're not in, it's still in the paperwork. And we asked repeatedly, the city council, the planning commission, have you read the 17,000 pages? And nobody has said they have. And we have. So this group is working really, really hard to represent all the people. So we need your help. Oh, there was one little other really, really shocking bit of news was the Pixar Hotel. That hotel is, the land on the Pixar Hotel is not owned by Disneyland. They lease it. And the Pixar Hotel owner, the land owner, wrote and did a public comment asking how is this Disneyland? He was confused what Disneyland Forward is, and he's a landowner of the hotel that Disney leases. So they have not done their transparent, outreach that they say they have. I'm going to say it, they lie. They change their stories. They do whatever they want to say, and there's no repercussions. So we have to fight them right here.
To underline Stephanie's point and our group's findings is a similarity between the way the Anaheim Stadium deal went down and the way this one's going down. And to look at that in a smaller section, look at the housing element planning process, which is currently going through state approval. It goes through an 8-year cycles. We're in the third. We first submitted ours in 2.5 years ago in the Sadu years. That's also the same time that Disney Forward was first proposed. It originated in the Sadu years. Since then, we've changed the mayor, the council, and we're on the third draft of our housing submission to the state. Yet what hasn't changed is the culture in City Hall and the public's inability to participate in these processes. On the house, to take the housing process an example, the state gives targets to all California cities for housing. California's target for Anaheim is 17,500 units. in 4 categories. 3 are affordable. In those 3 affordable units in 2023, there were 900 permits issued in the city of Anaheim. That was for all 4 categories, 900 total. The number of affordable units issued in 2023 was 178. Do the math. That does not come out to where we need to be at the end of the 8-year cycle. During this period, again, it started in the Sadu years. This housing element had a public component to it where we were to be informed on a monthly basis. It was the Housing Element Update Committee. It last met 2.5 years ago. 2 members of that committee were Natalie Rubicalva as a resident and Todd Ament. They're supposed to post information updates on the website on the cities. There's not been an update posted in 2.5 years. The one change that has happened in the last month is they've taken Todd Ament's name off their member list. That is a violation of the state law, just as we are in violation of the number of units that we're supposed to be planning for. So if this passes the Disney project, we will be liable to lawsuits. And to put that in perspective, there have been 5 recent lawsuits over the housing element from various cities. Beverly Hills lost in December. Huntington Beach lost in December. So Anaheim's swimming upstream on this if they don't get into compliance. To rush this through without being in compliance is risking lawsuits or the state intervening, and they can take over the city's approvals process to change that. They can also restrict the amount of money that the state's been giving them. And to put that into perspective, Grace Stepter said about 45% of Anaheim's funding for affordable units come from the state. So we're going to risk that if we remain out of compliance. Again, very similar to the Anaheim deal. Let me turn it over to Stephanie. What's our, let's see, just for, oh, just again, April 10th, if you guys can show up. And that's also on the City Hall, or the city's website, and also April 16th. Vern, how about wrapping this up?
We need independent studies to see the true pros and cons before anybody makes a decision on this. But one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, because there's so much, is that the fireworks that they have every night just before 10 p.m. There's never been a study that shows the dangers and risks of that, and it's already been shown that the area around that has a lot more incidence of asthma than anywhere else in the city. And so we want there to be a good study on the fireworks. Yeah, come here.
6,000 foundation.
Yeah, that's part of it. Have you noticed problems? Have you noticed cracks?
Right in front of the UGG. Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to ask the question? We want the people to hear the question.
Okay, my question is, with Walnut that Disney apparently wants and has been using trucks to get around, especially with the amount of rain that we've had, that should be opening up potholes right and left. And it may be possible, if it's creating hazards as a result of that, to get courts to intervene in some way. And certainly calling in complaints about that to the
Well, probably not only the, the police, but also there's administrative agencies that, maybe at the state level as well. Maybe, I don't know if Caltrans could get involved, but it may be possible to use that kind of awesome disregard for the law to put a crimp in what they're doing.
We put a video on YouTube of one example. There's many. It's just between like 7 o'clock in the morning till lunchtime. They're just one after the other. And this was two semi trucks in the middle median, which is where the only avenue for Hermosa Village to turn left on Walnut. And then one, they back in and they go the wrong direction. And then they reverse into the area that they're delivering to. It's one after the other after the other. I emailed the video to all our council members, and the only one that wrote back was Councilman for District 4. And she said Walnut should be not used this way. They even are now running art buses in a published route on Walnut to Catella to Harbor to Ball. And those are definitely over 6,000. And there's no bus exemption. Janine Robbins called Raphael Kobian, and he said that shouldn't be happening. So then the week after the video came out, she talked to him again, and he said, I never said that.
What is the driveway?
The operation,
Yeah, the driveway with the big truck back there.
they have a hydraulic claw that comes up to stop people from coming forward when they're delivering. So it's well.
Because you can't block roads. We keep on hearing that. I'm not sure that you can't block roads to prevent somebody from doing damage to the public roads.
Right.
So that's just something.
In the video, it has a woman with pushing a baby in a stroller trying to navigate the sidewalk with the trucks.
That's Wednesday. So next Wednesday. Okay. Very important meeting. We need everybody to show up. We need everybody to speak. I'm gonna tell you something I don't like about it. There's no check and balance. Once they give them permission, there's no intermittent checks and balance. You need that. Also, they want to get out of, by buying Magic Way, they want to get out of their commitment that they did for the $55 million that Anaheim spent for Gene Autry Way. Okay, now they got to go ahead and do their commitment, but they want to buy the street, 2 streets, and get out of that commitment. My point of it is, they're not being good business partners. If you're going to be a good business partner, we hold up our end, you should hold up your end. And especially when the city is $4 billion in debt. That's the bottom line. Everybody's not talking about the big elephant in the room. $4 billion in debt. And we have Disneyland here. We have the Angels. We have the Ducks. Yes, sir.
And we have to keep this in perspective on housing. In Florida, Disney has committed to 1,100 affordable units. They're putting the land up of 80 acres. They're guaranteeing no government funding. They have found a builder. They're working out the details. What they've offered the city up to now is $30 million, $15 million upon signing, $15 million in 5 years. That translates, according to Ray Spector, into about 52 affordable units. We think because Disneyland grosses $25 billion a year for Disney, and Disney World grosses about $64 billion, about twice as much, that we should be in line with that. We don't hold Disney to blame for this, their business, but our representatives should be able to strike a better deal than 52 units when Florida's been able to get 1,100 units. If not on a unit comparison, on a dollar comparison.
So, everyone, if you can be there, be there. Okay, now, we're gonna go back and open up the nominations for a new recording secretary, since our old recording secretary, Mike Robbins, is now our VP. Do we have any suggestions, any nominations for recording secretary? And the person has to be here, or they have to have some way to let someone know that they accept the nomination. Any nominations?
I nominate myself.
Move and be elected by.
We'll have to talk about that one. Because if that's the case, you could have stayed the VP.
No, I agree now too with the county party that I won't, that I will always support all the candidates. Now that the primary is over, I can do that.
That's a good position.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead. No. Right. But the thing of it is that he had to step down because of an article that he wrote. And it was supposed to be a conflict of interest as him being an officer. Now you see where I'm talking about. Right, so he expressing his point of view in his article. Guess what? As a member, you can do it. As an officer, it became a conflict. The Orange County.
But now I agree not to do it. You're a friend on the primary.
So that's why I said we have to go ahead and be doing the checking to make sure. Right. Well, we see it that way, but I got to make sure and check that the DPOC does it. Okay. Other than that, we're starting planning for the big fundraiser that we're having June 9th at Sharon Quirk Silver fundraiser for our club. So that's a lot of fun. We're gonna see if we can also invite the North OC Democrats, because when we was there before, and I guarantee you, we will all mix in very well together. So we'll do that. And last thing, down here, we need council candidates for District 1 and 5. We got 2 people. We have 2 people that's basically on the council that we can go ahead and get halfway committed for our purposes. So we have 1 and 5. People have asked me, I ran for District 5 last time. And I want everybody to know, I didn't run because I was just trying to sit up there in a position of power. I was running because guess what? It was wrong corruption going on. And I wanted to go ahead and get Steve Fessel out of there. That's just what it was. And I just couldn't take it no more. Okay. And people, hold on, Diamond. And people have asked me about running. Well, you know, they must have been scared because they got a third person to get in the race that we never seen before. Also, they funded him over $850,000. And my budget was $15,000. And I'm still paying today for $5,000 that I invested in of the 15. So emotionally, you know what? They try to rake you over the coals. They went ahead, what's his name? Sanders, Hotel and Lodge. They couldn't find nothing. So when you can't find nothing, guess what they do? They make up something. And they sent out the flyers saying that I voted to have the homeless sleep in the park. And they didn't notice though, I had the yellow shirt on that's on my Facebook and stuff like that. But on that shirt is housing is a human right, OC. So you couldn't see it like that, but this is the lies. This is the things when they don't have nothing on you, they will lie and make up something. And I didn't even have a right to vote anywhere to go ahead and let the homeless sleep in the park. So this is the point. But my point is this right here, and I've talked. It doesn't matter if we get one seat, we have to get two. Because we have the mayor and we have Carlos Leon that's more independent than everybody else. You have to remember, they betted against those two to lose. That was not the choice. They did not want our mayor in, and they did not want Carlos Leon, and he only won by 81 votes.
Yeah.
So this is just telling by being on the inside of the politics. So yes, Wes.
Don't forget it's District 3.
Oh,
A good chance that we're gonna give Rubicava the vote. Food and
that's right.
Good to play by a point.
Yeah. So all of that is we need to consider. Yes.
Finish your sentence.
Hmm?
Finish your sentence.
No, go ahead.
Okay. You know, I watched that race and I've seen you over the years. And I don't know how everybody else feels about this. But this position has been really good for you. And I didn't think that you were that great of a speaker. I mean, you had your aspects, but to make you are twice as good, if not more, at giving speeches than you were 4 years ago. And I think that could make a big difference. So it doesn't seem like am I just going wet here?
Well, thank you.
Does anybody else think that he's a better speaker now?
No, so I cannot judge but as for today, yes.
Yes.
You are the great speaker and you have a great mind
Well, see,
behind it.
I'm gonna tell you this right here. The speaking is one thing. We need people in there that's not going to sell their soul.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with our government today. It's not our government, the system. It's the people in the system who have been taken advantage, and they're not looking out for the masses. And if they don't look out for the masses, our democracy will be threatened. So I'll just leave that at that. But we'll talk about it. We're going to go ahead and remember the planning for the June 9th. Anybody else have announcement? Any announcement?
I've been asked to make this announcement by our gracious host here at the Unitarian Church. But first, now there's little thing we skipped. Are there any new guests or members here? What's your name? Yeah, we haven't seen you in a while. I hope you will join us. Donovan, everybody. And Ayla is back too. She should be planning commissioner. Okay, this is another thing. You got April 10th written down and April 16th to help fight Disneyland Forward. Well, here at the Unitarian Church, they're having I'm going to be reading this. The Orange County Interfaith Committee to Aid Farm Workers invites you to the Spring 2024 celebration featuring Roman Pinal. Who's Roman Pinal? Someone important. Director of External Organizing at UFW, speaking on the power of organizing, recent victories, challenges, and next steps for farm workers in the UFW. That's Saturday, April 20th, right here at 5, dinner presentation, silent auction. But it won't be really silent because there's going to be a lot of music. There'll be some people playing guitar and singing labor type songs, and I'm going to be playing. So So that's something you might want to come to, Saturday, April 20th at 5 p.m. That's it.
Okay. If nobody else has any more announcements,
Wednesday in June, fundraising June 9th. You should be included in that fundraising. You can get more money and.
we'll go ahead and we'll see. Okay, but also, I want to let everybody know that we stay in Anaheim so much. When I went to Santa Ana, it was an eye opener. And I'm looking at this is not just one municipality going ahead and complaining. This is going on different ways, different times. So also another thing, I think that I will inquire into the club about us writing a measure for a gate tax, not sponsoring it, just writing it. Okay, because let's get it straight. We're dealing out there with a company that's worth $220 billion. They have took our city council, they funded them all up and down, the majority. Not only did they fund the majority, they funded the city commissioners too. They are seating them to come up and take the spots of those people on the commission to vote in their interest. And when they vote in the interest of Disneyland, they put the residents' interest second. And we should be first. So the point of it is that I'm thinking that we should, and nobody on that council would dare go ahead and do a gate tax. I'm gonna tell you something else they would never do. They would never do rent control or rent stabilization. Why? Because the resort district wants to raise the stakes up and then everything around them goes up. And who does it affect? Is it gonna make a better America? Is it not? So, and we are the baby boomers, most of us in here. And we've seen the best of America. And now we're looking at, we can see the worst. So the point of it is we need people out here that's not gonna sell their soul. We need people out here that's gonna do the right things for the masses. Come on,
Please have a question.
yes, sir.
District 1 was Avelino's district, right?
No.
It was 4?
Yes.
Okay.
BS was Denise Barnes.
Okay. Is she be convinced to run again? Or not?
No.
No. Who owns the? Ed Lopez. I know, guys. I know. I think he's
So that's what I'm saying. But guess what? But if we get this gate tax done, then more people in Anaheim know that we're doing the right thing for Anaheim. How we grow our membership? Let's do the right thing for Anaheim. So we'll talk about this. I'll talk to certain people before the next month. We have a couple attorneys that are here. We get their advice and let's see if we can put this stuff together, because we must grow our membership one way or the other, and let's do it by action. With that,